In a war-torn America, three journalists risk everything to document the truth. Explosions, a final battle at the White House. What they discover changes everything. What really happened behind those war zone photos? The opening scene is the president talking on TV about the American Civil War, serving an unprecedented third term, and facing rebellion from many separatist factions. Veteran war photographer Lee Smith is watching in her private room at a hotel. The next morning, Lee and her colleague Joe go to a protest in the city. Joe gives Lee a reflective vest to wear to be more visible. While the crowd is overwhelming the police who are blocking the entrance, Lee stands nearby taking a few pictures. Another reporter named Jessie is taking photos close to the crowd. Because she is too near, she's unfortunately struck during a scuffle with the police. Jessie seems a bit stunned and realizes that Lee is a veteran reporter she really admires. As soon as Lee gives Jessie the vest and reminds her to wear it for safety while working, the crowd suddenly scatters. An explosion happens quickly, but fortunately both of them hide next to a police car. The blast has devastating effects and causes severe casualties. Lee quickly takes some pictures. Meanwhile, Jessie, disoriented by the explosion, takes out her camera to photograph Lee amid the chaos. Back at the hotel where the journalists are staying, Lee tries to post the photos, but the internet is too slow and there's a power outage. Sammy, their reporter advisor, asks where they plan to work tomorrow. Lee says they're heading to the Capitol. Lee knew it was a risk, but the story was worth it. Both Joe and Lee are determined to go there to photograph the president, and Joe intends to interview him. Sammy warns them that it's a risky decision. Journalists could face deadly danger in the Capitol. It turns out Sammy had also planned to go there before, but was hesitant. The place he wants to reach is the front line, and to get there he has to take a detour because the direct route is blocked. Lee agrees to let Sammy join them, but Sammy needs to discuss it with Joe before leaving. Later, Lee returns to her hotel room on the 10th floor. As she walks through the lobby, she runs into Jessie, the aspiring journalist from the earlier explosion. Jessie wants to return the vest, but Lee tells her to keep it and advises Jessie to wear a Kevlar vest and a helmet for protection. The next morning, they set off early. When Lee stepped out of the hotel, she saw Jessie sitting in the car with Sammy for a while. Lee seemed worried about this girl joining them on such a dangerous journey, but Joe said the girl was very capable and genuinely wanted to go with them. Finally, Lee agreed to let Jessie join, but not to go through Charlottesville. Everyone started heading toward Washington, D.C., but the trip didn't go as smoothly as expected. The entire highway was jammed with cars. Soon they reached a military checkpoint, and afterward they stopped at a gas station to refuel.
Sir, if we pay?
I was never going to give it free. What's over the odds?
300 for half a tank and 2 cans.
300 buys you a sandwich.
300 Canadian.
Okay.
Suddenly, Jessie wanted to go around to the back of the gas station to see something. Lee was curious too, especially since the man accompanying them seemed suspicious. The three of them went to an old car wash garage where 2 men were said to have committed a robbery and were found tied up.
Would you stand? Yeah.
Lee sensed something was wrong with the man, so she asked him to stand beside the other 2 for a picture. The group continued their journey. Jessie appeared panicked and shaken by the situation. Along the way, they stopped at a closed shopping mall. Lee encouraged Jessie to come along and asked her to take a few pictures of a nearby helicopter.
Would you photograph that moment if I got shot?
What do you think?
That night, the group stopped at an abandoned train station, having traveled more than 300 miles since morning. The next day, they began taking photos of a nearby gunfight, wearing helmets and Kevlar vests. The rebels threw several smoke grenades to shield one of their comrades, but the smoke didn't provide enough cover. After the force entered the building, they cleared it, apprehended several individuals in military uniforms, led them out onto the lawn, and opened fire on them. That night, the group camped at an abandoned stadium, and the following morning, they continued their journey. What they encountered was an eerie silence, no signs of life on the road. Eventually, they passed a strange stretch where a winter wonderland gate stood in the middle of the road. Seeing an object lying ahead, Joe sensed something was wrong. He stopped the car for a moment while Lee picked up her camera to observe a building in the distance. Seeing no movement, Joe slowly drove forward but hesitated. Everyone panicked. Joe slammed the accelerator and quickly moved forward, stopping behind a truck for cover. The 3 of them got out of the car, leaving Sammy alone inside. Joe spotted two snipers positioned nearby, aiming at a distant house as they searched for a target. He decided to approach them and asked a few questions, whether they knew who was inside and which side the people belonged to, but got no clear answers. Suddenly, one of the snipers saw something, motioned for silence, then took a shot. And it seemed like he had good news. The group continued on their way. Jessie took a nap while Lee was driving. A car following from far behind suddenly began speeding up, making her nervous. Lee didn't know what to do, so she informed Sam and asked him for a solution. Sam told her to slow down a bit and let them pass. Joe woke up because of the car horn. It turned out the fast car was being driven by two of their journalist colleagues, Tony and Bohai. They had followed the group because Joe, while drunk at the hotel in New York, had accidentally let them overhear his conversation with Jessie. Suddenly, Tony got angry and demanded to switch cars with the one Lee was driving by swinging through the back window, and Jessie did the same. Jessie and Bohai went ahead very quickly, leaving Lee's group quite far behind. After a while, Lee seemed worried because she couldn't see the car in front. She drove after it, but couldn't catch up. Suddenly, she quickly backed up and continued to chase in a state of extreme anxiety. That anxiety became more intense when she saw their car stopped on the side of the road with both doors open. Lee decided to go behind the hill. Through the camera lens, she discovered that both of them were with two soldiers. Looking at the truck dumping some corpses, they realized that it was bad news. The group discussed the plan to go there. Advisor Sammy said that they shouldn't go because that was asking for their own death. Lee made her own decision. She told Sammy to stay so she could go in with Joe and Tony. The three decided to negotiate, and Joe came out first.
Those two guys over there, they're my colleagues.
The soldier with the red sunglasses asked a few questions, then executed Bohai and Tony. As the situation turned critical, Sam sped forward and hit both soldiers, sending them flying into the hole. Jessie, who was nearby, was thrown along with them. Jessie panicked and got up. The three quickly got in the car and left before things got worse. But the unfortunate thing happened. Sammy couldn't hold on to the car because he was shot. Joe quickly took him out of the driver's seat to the back, and Joe continued driving. The group crossed a burning forest. They finally reached their destination at a Western Force military base located in Charlottesville. Although he had achieved his wish, Sammy did not survive. The feeling of sadness overwhelmed Joe. He stood there screaming alone. Joe and Lee then met two other reporters at the base. They expressed their regret for Bohai and Tony and said that the Western Force would move to the capital. Joe shares good news with Lee from the other two reporters. The government army has completely surrendered.
We missed the story.
Lee felt disappointed for her foolish decision, all for nothing, which caused Sammy to die. Lee walked alone to a small hut by the lake. Lee talked to Jessie about Sammy. Lee shouldn't have let Sammy go on this trip. It wasn't worth it. But Sam got his wish anyway, and Jessie learned her own lesson through it. That afternoon, Lee, Jessie, and Joe arrived in the capital following the troops from the Charlottesville military base. Jessie was no longer as frightened as she had been at the start. She took a few photos of the Lincoln War Zone. The scene shifted to another conflict zone. Lee seemed detached from reality, still standing behind a wall, hesitant to step out and take photos during the confrontation. After receiving support from a Black Hawk helicopter, the opposing forces were overwhelmed, clearing the way for the advance. Suddenly, Lee snapped back to reality. It turned out she had realized that the president wasn't actually in the car. She, Joe, and Jessie entered the White House, followed closely by a military squad. As the team swept through the rooms, they encountered a security agent who tried to negotiate the president's surrender.
I'm here to negotiate the surrender of the president.
We'll take real good care of him. Just bring him out here.
Ma'am, the president is willing.
Further down the hallway, the squad encountered more security forces and a gunfight broke out.
You're going left! Move! Going left!
Stay down!
Deconflict! Ready!
Suddenly, Jessie risked her life by running into the hallway to capture a unique photo. Lee saw this and bravely rushed out to push Jessie down, taking a few bullets herself. Jessie got the photo of a lifetime. After the agents were taken out, she stood up and walked into the presidential room, leaving Lee lying there. Eventually, the squad located the president hiding under a table and pulled him out. Before they proceeded further, Joe asked them to hold on for a moment.
Don't let him kill me. Yeah, that'll do it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of recap.